Coming up, Tzu Chi volunteers in Malaysia deliver blankets and consolation cash to flood survivors in Selangor. We meet Tzu Chi volunteer Tan Youjian, who is a Christian, and learn what inspired her to join the organization. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Liao. Thank you for joining us. Just last week, torrential rains in Selangor, Malaysia, triggered severe flooding in Balangong Township, affecting 42 households and resulted in one of the worst flooding in a decade. As soon as Tzu Chi volunteers learned of the news, they immediately delivered blankets and consolation cash to the residents' doorsteps.
This is footage of the flash flood which struck Balangong Township, Selangor on November 1st. As soon as the waters receded, Tzu Chi volunteers headed to the area to get a grasp of the situation.
Regardless of who they are, even if they're foreign laborers, if he or she is a victim of the flood, we still need to make a note of it.
The last time the area experienced a disaster of such magnitude was a decade ago. This time, flood waters gushed down roads and into homes, and within half an hour reached a height of 3 to 5 meters. Residents had no time to save any of their belongings before fleeing.
The last time we experienced a flood here was 10 years ago. We never imagined it would happen again. My bed and sofa were all damaged, and my son wanted to throw it out for me. But this is the only sofa I own. If he got rid of it, I would have nothing to sit on.
Tzu Chi volunteers visited the 42 families who were caught up in the flood disaster to get an idea of their situation.
The water reached this high and even higher inside.
Nabu Hussein, who moved from Bengal to Malaysia with her husband 3 years ago, had recently just given birth to triplets. This is the first time she has experienced such a terrifying flood and is left shaken by the encounter.
The water came gushing in, and I grabbed my children and ran. There was no time to pack anything, so all of our belongings are ruined. I was terrified at the time, and my mind just went blank. All I could think of was, who will be able to rescue us?
As a temporary measure to ease the residents' plight, volunteers went door to door to deliver blankets and consolation cash.
Following our assessment, we rendered assistance to 13 families. Some families turned down our offer to help because they felt that they could manage on their own. It is really the foreign workers who need the most assistance.
Volunteers hope that the monetary assistance can help residents with their immediate needs and get them back on their feet. Volunteers will also continue to do what they can to accompany residents through these difficult times.
Following Typhoon Haiyan, the Tzu Chi Philippines chapter began to construct 2,000 prefab homes in hard-hit Ormoc. In March of this year, 150 households moved into their new homes. Recently, the construction of 500 more prefabs were completed, and new homeowners seized the chance before the handover ceremony to clean up their new homes. Before we take a look at how these homeowners celebrate the occasion, we learn how Tzu Chi has inspired prefab owners to change for the better.
Yung kanan ko, ma'am, ilog. So, yung kaliwa naman, dagat. Tuyok. Yung pag magbagyo na naman, delikado ang buhay namin dito.
Following Typhoon Haiyan, Barangay Naungan in Ormoc was categorized as a no-build zone by the Filipino government. Before moving into a prefab building constructed by Tzu Chi, Hilario Pasalo decided to quit his job as a shrimper and get rid of his bad habits.
I no longer drink, smoke, or gamble. These are the rules we have to obey before moving into our new home. I know that my bad habits cannot bring happiness to me.
Feeling excited while browsing through her new home is Haiyan survivor Marilo Pangay.
We promised to take good care of the prefab home. We'll take good care of it for the rest of our lives.
To give her children back home a chance to study, Pang Ai and her husband had to live on a meager income and live in a home made up of bamboo and canvases. With Tzu Chi's assistant, Pang Ai and her husband can finally live in a sturdy and safe home.
Before, I never thought of helping others. Now I know that I need to contribute my share to help the less fortunate. Every day, I'll donate 5 or 10 pesos into this plastic bottle and give it to Tzu Chi.
When Tzu Chi was building prefab homes in Armagh, Pang Ai was one of the cash reward program participants who took on various tasks. By partaking in the program, she has learned to help the needy and to accept the impermanence of life. Before helping 500 families move into their new homes, Tzu Chi volunteers hold a lottery to determine which household gets which house.
House number 15. House number 15.
Due to Typhoon Haiyan, many were forced to abandon their homes or live under someone else's roof. Now, 2 years later, these residents finally have a place to call their own.
Mayroon kaming feel namin nililingap kami.
Haiyan survivor Lilia Arcelo has begun a small business.
Now we have a place to call our own and have the ability to make ends meet. My children and I no longer have to move around.
Rosalia Manawato is extremely happy to have her own garden.
We don't have to worry anymore because no one will ask us to move again.
To welcome children who will be attending the Tzu Chi Great Love City Daycare Center, faculty mobilized to set up the classrooms and cleaned up tables and chairs.
We hope that children will grow up happy in a comfortable and friendly environment.
To welcome their new neighbors the day before the handover ceremony, the 150 households who will have already moved into Tzu Chi's prefabs back in March helped the volunteers set up the venue.
We are so happy to have new neighbors. These homes were built by us.
Besides local volunteers, Tzu Chi volunteers from Manila, Cebu, and Tacloban has arrived with gifts to celebrate this occasion.
They'll be given oil, salt, sugar, and rice. We'll also give them Jing's portable beds and Tzu Chi signature eco-friendly blankets.
Thanks to everyone's well wishes, these residents are one step closer to embracing a brighter future. Moving to Shanghai from Ningbo since 10 years ago with her husband to find better opportunities, Tzu Chi Care recipient Wang Shoujun has not returned to Ningbo since, as their business had failed and she had lost her husband. Now that the Ningbo government has Wang listed as missing, she cannot receive the basic endowment insurance she needs in life. Let's see how Tzu Chi volunteers go about helping her reinstate her status.
Here in Shanghai, China, 78-year-old Tzu Chi Care recipient Wang Shoujun makes a living by mending shoes on the side of the street. Today, Tzu Chi volunteers are fulfilling a dream of hers. 16 years ago, Wang and her husband moved to Shanghai from Ningbo to find better opportunities. However, after their business failed and her husband later passing away, Wang has never returned home since. Due to that fact, she's reported as missing in Ningbo, while in Shanghai, she is unregistered. Today, Tzu Chi volunteers together with the senior are visiting various government institutions to help her get reinstated and apply for an identification card and have her household record updated. Usually, the application process for National Identification Card is about a month. However, with the help of the local government, the senior was able to obtain her card in just 1 day's time.
When I'm alone and see shows on TV that reminds me of home, I realize that money isn't the root to my happiness. I'm very sorry to have troubled you volunteers today.
With Tzu Chi's help, Wang was able to find renewed energy to live out the rest of her days in full spirit.
Recently in Taiwan, many families affected by the Bali water park explosion gathered at the Tzu Chi grounds in Taipei City to share their stories of survival and courage in front of Master Tan Youjian.
Sharing her story of survival, Bali water park explosion survivor Peng Wenyu could not hold back her tears. Peng says because of love, she has the courage to overcome the pain of her injuries.
In the past, I didn't feel that people love and care about me. However, following the accident, I felt that I'm surrounded by love.
During my daughter's road to recovery, Tzu Chi volunteers around the world prayed and gave us much strength.
Another explosion survivor, Zhang Tingzhen, feels for her parents who have been caring for her since the accident.
My parents faced what I faced and endured what I had to endure. I'm very sensitive, and thanks to my sensitivity, I notice a lot of things.
走过了这一条路呢，应该对人世间这种无常疾苦呢，会感受会更贴切，感受会更深留下来的这样的生命，应该大有用处。
As the burn victims face their long path to recovery, these words of encouragement have given them much courage to face the trials ahead and even inspired them to reach out to the less fortunate in the future.
Tzu Chi is holding its first 2015 overseas volunteer training camp simultaneously at Tzu Chi's Banqiao and Sanchong grounds. Among the 424 training session attendees in Sanchong, many have come from China to Taiwan to learn more about Tzu Chi's history and spirit.
4年前，我家自己加入慈济。
My wife joined Tzu Chi 4 years ago. She used to be moody, but after joining Tzu Chi, she became more considerate and kind.
After seeing his wife's changes, Xu Yatong and his daughter became determined to walk the Tzu Chi path. Having visited Tzu Chi's headquarters in 2013, the Xu family decided to set up a recycling point in their community.
最好是要把握营养，把握。
We need to seize the opportunities to do good deeds. The master said that we only need enough money to get by. So I quit my job and joined Tzu Chi with my wife.
我就辞队工作，跟师姐一起加入慈济。
Now Xu Yatong rides his motorcycle to collect recyclables regardless of the distances. Despite being busy with work, Xu's daughter not only helps him sort out recyclables, but also shoulders the tasks of a media volunteer. Recently, they traveled to Taiwan, hoping to learn more about Tzu Chi.
We have not done enough in our community. After returning to our spiritual home, we realized we need to be more dedicated.
Thanks to the training session, the Xu family has not only become firmer in their commitment to serve the needy, but has also grown closer together.
应愿来了，我们就赶快加入。向人讲。
We seized the opportunity and joined Tzu Chi after listening to the master's saying, "We must seize the moment and dedicate ourselves wholeheartedly."
79-year-old Yu Ruiten lived in China for nearly 19 years after retiring in Taiwan. After learning about Tzu Chi's ideals 2 years ago, his retirement plan of traveling turned into study sessions, recycling practices, and home visitations.
我们宁可把这个去游山玩。
We did rather save the travel expenses to help the needy. We can help a lot of people with the travel expenses that we might spend in a year.
人家的话，不晓得可以帮助多少人。
The master replied, "I hope you harbor a kind thought every day."
Another training session attendee, college professor Sang Hai, learned about Tzu Chi 12 years ago through Jingsi aphorisms. After joining Tzu Chi activities for about 3 years, he has come to Taiwan to further his Tzu Chi spirit.
I'm deeply moved by Tzu Chi's spirit. Tzu Chi volunteers let go of their egos through volunteering and give without asking for anything in return. This is the way to practice Buddhist teachings.
During the 5-day training session, overseas volunteers will learn more about Tzu Chi's spirit of great love, so they can better serve the needy once return home.
On the second day at Tzu Chi's first 2015 Overseas Volunteers Training Camp, Jingsi Post-Dharma Masters and the Superintendent of Taichung Tzu Chi Hospital gave lectures on Tzu Chi's history and medical mission at the Tzu Chi Central Grounds.
The attendees of the 2015 Overseas Volunteers Training Camp mindfully took notes during the lecture, in which Jingsi, a Post-Dharma master, reminded them to make good vows in spite of the temptations in society.
After the lecture, I now have stronger will to shoulder responsibilities. It is the only way for us to grow.
Later in the afternoon, the superintendent of Taichung Tzu Chi Hospital, Dr. Jian Shouxing, talked about how important it is for one to be aware of the impermanence of life.
We do our best to save lives. However, it is more important to raise people's awareness of the impermanence of life, so people will be more careful.
As Dr. Jian shared about how the medical staff work with one heart and mind to help the victims of Bali Water Park explosion, some of the overseas volunteers were moved to tears and reminded of their own initial vows to help people in need.
In our next report, we meet Tzu Chi volunteer Tan Youjian of Shanghai, China. Despite being a Christian, Tan gladly joined Tzu Chi after discovering that the organization focuses on serving all who need assistance regardless of race, ethnicity, or religion. Sharing her experience after joining Tzu Chi is Tzu Chi volunteer Tan Youjian of Shanghai, China.
The love of the organization attracted me. I believe we come across one another because of the good affinity we have formed.
Touched by Tzu Chi's philosophy of great love, Tan, who is a Christian, decided to join the Tzu Chi family. Now Tan not only practices recycling, but also helps promote the concept of environmental protection.
I introduced Tzu Chi's eco-friendly blankets to members of the public while passing on the organization's humanistic values. I get deeply moved whenever I introduce Tzu Chi to others.
By partaking in home visitations, Tan Youjian has learned ways to better interact with seniors and to care for them wholeheartedly.
When we went on home visitations, there was a grandma that held my hands and told me that she'll never forget about us. I was extremely touched by her words. I held her hands tightly and said, "You're just like my own grandmother."
Now walking steadfast on the Bodhisattva path, Tan has learned to smile more and to be gentler. Thanks to Tzu Chi, Tan Youjian has discovered the true meaning of great love and even promised to spread it far and wide in the future. Tzu Chi's 4-in-1 camps for team leaders were held in both the United States and Thailand. In the United States, the event was held in conjunction with the 26th anniversary of Tzu Chi in the country. And in Thailand, the event was held in the newly completed Jingsi Hall in Bangkok.
The new Thailand Jingsi Hall still has no air conditioners, so it is a test for the volunteers attending the 4-in-1 camp to remain calm when the temperature is above 35 degrees Celsius.
We want to congratulate everyone for choosing Buddhism in action and making the 4 Bodhisattva vows.
Zhu Yueyun takes notes diligently and likes to help people. At start, she disliked joining Tzu Chi, but after she saw a TV program introducing Tzu Chi in Thailand, she changed her mind and is now training to become a volunteer.
I am single and don't have steady income. I worried that if I joined Tzu Chi, I would have had no money left. But after I saw how Master Zheng Yan offered help without any condition on TV, it made me reflect on myself.
Tzu Chi volunteers around Thailand have gathered to absorb the energy of kindness and will turn it into actions and spread it out. Over in the United States, a total of 634 Tzu Chi volunteers also gathered at the Tzu Chi headquarters in St. Dimas, California, for a 4-in-1 camp plus the 26th anniversary celebration.
It's a blessing to shoulder responsibilities. If you want to know gratitude, respect, and love, then shoulder them. And when you do, you learn to appreciate everyone.
At daytime, Dharma masters from Jingsi abode in Taiwan. give lessons on Tzu Chi's value, while senior volunteers share their insights on community service. At night, the classes become very lively.
你会感受到每一个师兄、师姐、师父。
You can feel the love and sincerity from every volunteer and Dharma master. Every morning after we get up, the joy of Dharma can delight us until midnight, until the next morning.
While their minds are nourished by the teaching, their bodies are also nourished by traditional Taiwanese treats, such as danzai noodles, stinky tofu, spring rolls, among others. It is like a food fair where everyone can have a good time. After being recharged for 3 days, participants are ready to go back to serve their respective communities.
For the fourth year, the New Taipei City's Public Health Department is recognizing doctors and organizations for their outstanding service. 4 doctors from the Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital in Xingdian were among the 15 doctors recognized this year. Let's find out who they are in our report.
Over the weekend, the Public Health Department of New Taipei City recognized 15 doctors and an organization for their contribution to public health. 4 of the doctors are from the Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital, including the Deputy Superintendent, the Director of TCM Department, an attending physician from the Urology Department, and the Director of Anesthesiology Department. Besides working and serving his patients, Deputy Superintendent Xu Rongyuan also makes time to join free clinics in remote townships. Not only is he loved by his patients, he was also among the top 100 physicians as selected by Taiwan's Business Weekly.
Whether it's after a typhoon or a flood, or the regular free clinics on weekends and holidays, we have devoted much of ourselves. It's as the Master said, we should give with joy and ask for nothing in return.
Also a winner of the Medical Contribution Award, Dr. Chen Shunding actively serves in international free clinics and looks after cancer patients.
It's really thanks to Tzu Chi's aunties. They are leading in the front and we are just following behind them. Before I joined Tzu Chi, I really didn't know much in this area. But now I've been to many remote areas to serve, as there are many patients who need medical care, but just can't make it to a hospital.
Urologist Cai Yaozhou is recognized in the education and research category. His professional single-port laparoscopy has won him the approval of patients.
I just can't take all the credit by myself. I think this award has helped me see my own shortcomings and also where my strengths are. I hope that I shall be able to do better in the future.
Dr. Huang Junren is also recognized in this category due to his devotion to improving the care for the seriously ill and training new staff. All these doctors do more than simply working at a hospital. Instead, they go above and beyond to serve those in need in the name of compassion, which is why they deserve recognition.
We go to Hualien, Taiwan at the end of the show, where Tzu Chen and Ida parents and students at the Tzu Chi University prepare for the upcoming department evaluation by giving the campus a thorough cleaning. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.